You know, organizations like Impact, events like today, are so important for creating opportunities for young people to connect with some of our nation's top leaders. But it's more than just connecting with leaders. It's about becoming a leader. It's about understanding how you go about accessing resources that are available to move our community forward and our country forward. It's about utilizing the tools that are made available to us. It's about working with current leaders to ensure that the future generation is there helping to make the decisions that need to be made. So let us take this chance to ask questions and to investigate how we can become more involved, because I know that as we are with young elected officials today and policy professionals and those great men and women from the Obama administration, this is the time for us to reconnect and mobilize and start preparing us to see the future members of Congress and governors and next presidents who I think could be assisted in the next 10 years. So thank you for having us out. God bless you. Let's get started.
For me, it was a fascination with science, so I was sort of pursuing my love and interest in political behavior, and wanting to help more people who look like us get elected. And that's why I actually had to start my own business, because it came to a point, and I always tell people this, young people this, pursue your passion, but also get a skill set that allow you to take up a place, and they can't take that from you.
For me, my path, I was on a very lovely path, making $400,000, I didn't have to count the pennies at that point, dollars a year. And I saw where we had been with Bush, and I was a personal benefactor of many of his things, because I had money. But I saw my own family, I saw friends that I went to high school with, people from college. I saw a lot of people who weren't making it. And I said, at the end of the day, the fact that I made it doesn't mean anything. It just doesn't. I mean, it just didn't matter. When you sitting here and, you know, your mama can't pay her rent, it's not working out. And, you know, you living in, you know, a $1 million house, it's not working out. It wasn't working out for me. So I moved from that space and said, I need to figure out how to get a whole bunch of people that are passionate, that look like me, that support people that look like me, that want to be in the room with people like me, whether they look like me or not, and get us all together and put it behind one man as he leads the way to make a difference for the next 8 years, and as he builds people, creates people, supports people, mentors people, and gives people opportunities that are going to push through for the next 50 years. Because that's what we have an opportunity for now. It's not about this today, the bill today or the bill tomorrow. It's about everybody who's up on this stage, everybody who's in the administration, everybody who's playing their part, and everything that they're learning and what they're doing, so that over the next 50 years, for our entire generation, this is it, people. What we do, what you all sacrifice for right now, this is it. It's going to matter for the next 50 years. I hear people up here talking about their kids. I have a 19-year-old. I'm looking at my grandkids and my great-grandkids, and I'm trying to figure out, because I see where my brothers and sisters didn't make it, and I'm trying to figure out how we're all going to make it.
So don't be afraid to sacrifice, do what it is that you love, and then get a mentor. It's nice to have a mentor that looks like you, but don't be confined to only have a mentor that looks like you. You can have a set of mentors. You know, one of the people who probably did the most to help me in my career is like a 70-year-old Jewish guy who really helped coach me through everything that I was able to do in my life. And look, and again, I'll finish with this, which is go to that place where there is, you know, look for the big table. Don't keep looking for, sometimes I wonder, I worry that we as African Americans are more comfortable sometimes being outside the room, yelling at the people who are inside the room making decisions. Figure out a way to get in the room, sit down at the table where all the big decisions are being made. And it's nice to be one of 7 people dividing up 100% than it is to be, outside looking for 10% or 5%. So look for these opportunities to get in the room and help make some of the big decisions.
I realized that it wasn't enough just to be passionate about politics and fundraising. That at the end of the day, I needed something or some way to have a real value. And so I went to school, studied public policy, busted my hump going to University of Pennsylvania while living down here in Washington, D.C. I did not sleep on the weekends for 2 years. And then found an opportunity to work for my hometown congressman. On the Hill, it is challenging being young and empowered. It is challenging being a woman and empowered. It is challenging being a young black male and empowered. But all of that should not be a deterrent. Folks are going to want to define you on their own reality, their own limited reality. And if you accept it, you will be limited as well. And so to speak about where I am now and what I attempt to do, a lot of it required taking risks, a lot of it required pushing myself into scary places, a lot of it required sacrificing, a lot of it required not sleeping, and at the end of the day, I think it's worth it because I work for the district that I am from. It's a real idea when we can save a community center or help our school district, because that was me. And I only got to this opportunity because I put in the time and worked hard to get there.
Fortunately for me, the grassroots nonprofit that I was organizing for actually hired me to organize around healthcare that I didn't know anything about other than my own personal experience. And it was through knocking on doors in North Columbia, South Carolina, in the projects, talking to parents that didn't have access to healthcare, that I realized how big this problem was, and this was in the late 90s. And so I passionately organized around healthcare issues for a decade, effectively. And it parlayed into me running for office. Again, as Cornell and Jamal said, going somewhere where you're the only one in your space. Well, I was a black dude running in a 70% white district in the South, and I won. So I was where nobody else was. And so been passionate about the issues, knew it. That comment about becoming an expert in something and knowing it better than anybody else, I cannot tell you that if you specialize in some information, then you will never die. And there's a phrase I use, specialize or die. So if you have a specialization somewhere, make yourself valuable to somebody, you can turn it into whatever you want. Fortunately for me, I turned my specialty into healthcare into a career in politics, which I'm now back on the healthcare side, actually working to implement the Affordable Care Act, which is the biggest, most influential piece of domestic policy in America since 1965. So if y'all don't know that and understand that, I'm going to be specializing for a long time because it's a lot of great work that we're doing on the Affordable Care Act. So that's a short answer.
Well, I grew up in politics. My father was a career citywide politician and avoided it most of my adult life. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And because I saw the sacrifice that my dad made for our family, how much he was gone, and then maybe a year and a half to 2 years before I filed, I got pregnant. I had an unplanned pregnancy. I'm a single mom. That's me. And I thought, well, no, I definitely can't run now. I have to be a mom. That's my most important job. And some friends talked to me and said, well, no, you can have the baby. It's still ahead of time. And that's how I lost the rest of my pregnancy weight, by canvassing every day. I would pick up my son from daycare about 5 o'clock, put him in a stroller, and we'd hit the streets. He thought it was a treat. And and we're walking 80-degree weather. It's an August primary, so. But I said all that to say, no matter what obstacles sit in your way, especially as black women, especially as women in politics, we are rare, and women have
have to often be asked to run. So I'm asking every woman in here who thinks that you might be a little bit interested in politics, I'm asking all of you to run. Because, you know, no disrespect to the brothers in here, but men just wake up one morning and say, oh, I'm gonna run for office. Women need to be asked. Women need to be coached. In your families, if you have families at home, husbands, kids, whatever, you can make it work. You can make it work. I'm a single mom. My son is 4 years old. He's in preschool full-time, but I have a good network of family and friends that surround me and a good village that helps me raise my son, because it takes a village, and I have a village and I know my place. But public service is sacrifice. It's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make because in my second term, I became the assistant minority floor leader, and that's been unheard of a black woman being the assistant minority floor leader in the state of Missouri. So it's just one of those things where if I'm going to be sacrificing time away from my son, then I'm gonna make the best of it. Or away from my family, then I'm gonna make the best of it. I'm gonna jump in head first and do everything I need to do to make sure that I'm representing the citizens that sent me there.
The name of my book is The Audacity of Leadership, okay? I put a 10-step system into place of what I believe drove me to be a strong leader, a next generation transformative leader. Starts with vision, it goes to commitment, it is remaining authentic. You gotta be who you are always. You gotta learn how to listen. Listen to the people that you represent, the people that you serve, and the people that you work with. Number 5 is always believe that you can be the greatest and have this mentality of an MC, that I'm gonna be the greatest person I can be. And that's more points, but the last one I'll give you is you have to build yourself a leadership team, what I call a personal board of directors. Every corporation has a board of directors, right? And they guide that organization to where it needs to go. As an individual, you need to have a personal board of directors, which is anybody that's excelling where you want to be in life, you have to find a mentor in that area. If you want to be a great father, then find somebody who's a great father and be just like him. If you want to be a great pastor, find somebody that's a great pastor and be just like him. So you got to have mentors around you. But the last one is most important. Whatever you are as a leader, you better find your replacement before you get to that spot. I invest in young people. I want them to be 10 times as better than I was at half the age that I did. That's my blueprint for being a good elected official, because when I leave office, I picked my replacement. I put a woman in office in my seat after I left. I gave her the keys to my Ferrari. She beat my opponent worse than I beat my opponent when I got elected in 2008. So you got to invest in the next generation. So I can stop there.
My question is to everyone on this panel. I have a group of young, dynamic young elected officials in New York City, and they just can't get it. They're stuck in this New York City state of mind, which I understand because I'm from New York. However, they're not looking at it on national stage. They're not following the game, like you said, Anton. They don't understand the game. I'm trying to get them to look beyond just being over here. You need to expand and talk to other people, you know? They're not getting it. So I started getting my family involved. I got a cousin, she just became an elected official. My little brother. I'm sorry, question, how can I get them involved?
There we go.
That's it, there we go.
When we talk about, someone asked initially, how do you find passion? Whenever I talk to a mentee and they tell me that they don't know what they want to do, I said, okay, just do everything I do until you figure it out. And that's what she mentioned too. Getting people engaged, and you're doing exactly right. When people talk about Biz gets things done, when Biz gets pissed, when she has an idea, she says, okay, well, we doing this now. You know, we need to figure out how to get everybody on this road, and I'll get a whole bunch of people moving along a train. You talk about building empowerment, and then I have some deputy who's out there going faster than me, and I fall back, and then I start running over here, and building those seeds. And you have to have that passion to bring people along with you.
Most of what we're talking about, these issues are bigger than us.